Nearly a year after floods claimed the lives of more than 400 people in KwaZulu-Natal, Build One SA leader Mmusi Maimane is visiting the province. He's in KZN to assess if any progress has been made in rebuilding infrastructure damage caused by the floods. The eThekwini municipality has finally received 1.5 billion rand to repair damage caused by last year's floods. This has raised concerns that the money may be looted rather than being used to benefit flood victims. Our senior reporter Dasen Thathiah is tracking that story for us, and he joins us now live from our Durban studios. Dasen, maybe just speak to us about what exactly this visit entailed before we get into how that money is actually going to be allocated and used. What did Mmusi Maimane find upon his assessment?
Well, Heidi, primarily Mmusi Maimane's visit was about launching the KZN chapter of Build One SA. So the day started off with a press conference, and that was where we were introduced to the provincial leadership. So at the outset, they did tell those that were present that the point of this party is not to house politicians per se. What they're looking for are people that can add some kind of value to the party in these communities. So instead, they were looking for activists, they're looking for business people, people from the religious sector, and trying to make it all as diverse as possible. So that KZN chapter has now been formed, so to speak, officially so. Mmusi Maimane says that they've done a similar thing in other parts of the country as well. So this will now prepare them, they hope, to move towards the 2024 elections. But you know that KwaZulu-Natal and Durban in particular offers ideal electioneering ground, if I could put it that way, because of the number of challenges that are faced here. You mentioned the floods. That's just one of the issues that we currently have. You know that crime is spiraling out of control. You know that there's a sewage crisis in eThekwini that's been well publicized. Some of the other political parties have also jumped onto that. They've taken legal action against the eThekwini municipality. And we're told today by Mmusi Maimane that Build One South Africa intends to also follow suit, and they intend to take legal action on that front, but also launch a human rights investigation. So they want to launch a formal complaint for the people of Durban.
Yes, certainly. Let's just go back to the issue of sewage. I mean, it's a year on, and that still has not been sorted out. And Mmusi Maimane, of course, saying that he will be heading to the courts if this is not dealt with. Do we know if he's going to do so? Is he waiting for something before he heads to the courts, or is it set in stone that he will be heading to the courts? Because this issue has been going on for some time, and it has just not been dealt with.
That's right, Heidi. In fact, what we were told today was that this visit would inform that decision to take legal action. So on the back of this visit, that's when he would be talking to their legal teams about what would be the best course of action. But it seems that, as I said, this particular issue of the sewage crisis has been frustrating residents since last year. But many people, many communities that we've also engaged in, outside of today that is, where we've engaged with these residents, they say that some of these problems had actually started before the floods. It's just that it was exacerbated when those floods hit, and that is also of particular concern. Today we were at the Seacow Lake, in the Seacow Lake area, where there's a wastewater treatment plant. So Mmusi Maimane and that delegation visited that particular area, and they also engaged the community. Obviously, they were not allowed onto the premises, but they were outside, and they were talking to the citizens that live in that area. And there they were saying that their problems, as far as they could remember, go as far back as 2017. There was sewer water that was just all over the roads. There were sewage leaks, and they were talking about how children have to endure these types of conditions. So for them, it only really got worse, and they've been waiting a long time for any form of help. So that was the type of audience that Mmusi Maimane was talking to today, people that were already frustrated. And as I said, I guess it presented a perfect opportunity then to sell his party to these residents who are hoping for some kind of action.
Yes, and we can't ignore the fact that over R1 billion has been allocated to the eThekwini municipality to assist with the damage caused by the last year April floods. And I'm sure Mmusi Maimane really touching on that because we, unfortunately, we have a history in this country of money that's been allocated to better the lives of South Africans or to fix a problem. Oftentimes you find allegations of looting and corruption.
And, it wouldn't be far-fetched. You know that I've spent the past couple of weeks at the Durban High Court because we were covering that corruption trial that's taking place there. And that's a similar type of issue. I mean, it was a solid waste tender. The money was essentially squandered. The work wasn't done. And that just seems to be the theme. There are lots of cases where this does happen. And, it's not fair to preempt anything. But I can understand why there needs to be extra oversight when it comes to how this type of money that's allocated for a particular purpose is spent. And that's why there's been this much attention on that money that's been given to the eThekwini municipality, because there are still problems that exist after the floods. It wouldn't be fair to say that no work was done. There was work done since last year, and that's what we were told all along anyway, that the municipality would use its existing money to try to fund some of these projects. But by and large, the infrastructure that is damaged does require this type of cash injection. One only hopes that it will be spent in the correct way. Build One South Africa is hoping to add its voice then to those that are keeping an eye on how this money is spent and who it actually goes to. Ultimately, it must benefit those that were affected by the floods, as well as the citizens of Durban, which are paying their rates every month.
Certainly. Well, we'll just have to wait and see how that unfolds. Thank you so much for that update. That was our senior reporter, Dasen Thathiah.